59. We are broadcasting. I'm going to go live. I'm going to put the cover on and go live. We'll be live with audio. Okay?
Okay.
Well, hello everybody. This is John Ellis with Alex, and this is the Wednesday edition of Office Hours. And I actually think we've got it all together this time. Believe it or not. We've got an awful lot of things to talk about. And I know I didn't do my usual excited opening shot, but the truth is I am not frantic at this moment. And I think Alex can attest to that normally at this point, right before we go live, I am psychotic. Right, Alex?
Yeah. I feel like that might be putting it nicely.
So we're looking at a different camera shot and pretty calm right now. Everything should be streaming in 1080p. So if you're watching this on our event page and the YouTube channel, make sure you boost it up to 1080p if you want. We should have the audio synced and working well. We're broadcasting through a YouTube live event, but we're pulling in a Hangout. So this is the way it works when you want to do Hangouts like the big boys. You use a YouTube live event to stream because it can stream in a much better quality. And you use a Hangout to bring in the audience, which is what we're doing here. It's the same thing that was done with the Obama Hangouts. It took me a while to figure this out. I want to get through the opening shots here and then explain a little bit more about that. So let's see. Go to this one. Opening shots today. We've got the nerd gods, of Google. The nerd gods of tech have saved us by helping me understand how to make this system work. So I want to do a big shout out and a thank you to Alex Lindsay with Pixel Core and Dan McDermott. That's coming up. YouTube Live is just a beautiful thing. We're going to talk about Glass in the Class. Alex has a session going on tomorrow. It's the first one with David Amerland, and that's going to be rockin' awesome. And thanks to Todd Lebeauc for actually cranking out graphics that make it look like it's not something we did at grade school level. Actually, our stuff wouldn't even be that good, would it, Alex? The office hours GIF that we load, that's my handiwork there. It gives you an idea of the quality. We're also going to talk about kindness. Killing it with kindness, because we are seeing it everywhere. And I think it's the most beautiful thing. I could not be happier with the fact that everything seems to be kindness oriented these days. Google Plus functions on the concept of kindness. How can I help you? How can you help me? Right? And Alex, everybody can see you.
I'm sorry.
It's totally fine.
Like he was sleeping like 5 minutes ago. And
we love Alex's
now,
dog. For those of you who don't know, Alex's dog is blind and deaf, and I don't know. He's got to have other issues, but the poor sucker is just a sweet little animal, and Alex loves it to death, and he's a little bit hyper. That's all. So here, I'll switch it off that shot. Moving into other topics, kindness. Lee Smallwood with kindness. Will Smith. The Tonight Show, Jimmy Fallon, Game of Thrones. There's all sorts of kindness we're seeing all over the place. So we're going to talk about all of that stuff. Wrap it up with the communication connection, which is going to tease us for tomorrow and Friday. So say hey, Alex. Welcome to Office Hours.
hey y'all, welcome to Office Hours. Sorry about the special dog. Usually like 60% of the time I'm like, why do I own this creature? And then he goes to sleep and he's just so freaking adorable. I'm like, that's why.
All right, so we understand. Hey, you look great now, Alex. Okay, that's we're pulling you in with the high def now, so your picture looks really good. So,
that doesn't mean like, what is it that does the like you can see like their pores? I watched it. Is it Blu-ray?
No, we don't have that high def yet. No, we're
Thank God. Not yet. We're not going that far because I watched a movie like that and I was like, oh my God, they look so bad. Sometimes you just need to say, we're not going to go that far, and we're just going to let everybody think that you're beautiful people.
Okay, yeah, good point. It really hit me with the football players and looking at their pores, watching high def. That was like, wow, I don't need to see that. That's a linebacker, man. Whoa, you know. All right, but I forgot my sponsorships. Actually, wow, and these are okay. So sponsorship shots got a little whacked. Let's see what this. It's no, there it is. That's funky. Wirecast show is sponsored by Telestream, the makers of Wirecast, which is still doing some funky things, but I think it's because I need to learn more about it. Learned an awful lot about it thanks to Dan McDermott. But we want to thank Telestream for sponsoring us and helping us out here. And we want to thank OTBC, the Oregon Technology Business Center, because they're a great place for tech startups in Oregon. And we're going to run a show out of their building on Fridays. And got lots of exciting things happening with OTBC. If you're in Oregon and interested in a place out in the Beaverton area for your tech startup, go hit up Steve at OTBC. They've got great offices. I wish I could take the entire bottom floor. You haven't seen it, Alex. The bottom floor is sweet. But yeah, we thank these guys. And of course, our final and always sponsor is Google. Because without Google, we wouldn't be doing any of this stuff, really. So thank you, Google, for making Hangouts and YouTube Live and all of this great stuff possible. So let's see. Let's push out the thank you, Dan. I made a little sign for Dan, Alex. So this is everybody. If you don't know who Dan McDermott is, he's been using he used Wirecast before. He's been doing Hangouts, but really he's one of the pioneers in the YouTube streaming space. And Dan's been running his show Google Plus Week and for a long time, and he's got Android Week, and he does a variety of things. But I've learned more from Dan, and just watching his videos, and then in a conversation that we had, literally like an hour conversation. This guy had no problem taking the time. This is part of the kindness, right? Dan, I reached out to him, and he's a really busy guy. I wasn't expecting him to have time to talk to me, and or even know who the heck I am. Well, immediately responds, let's talk. How can I help you? What you got going on? And did you watch my video? Can you see this? I mean, he was so willing to help. It's just awesome. It's the way things work. So, Dan, I just want to offer the same to you, public. Anything I can do for you, for your show, to help grow your business, whatever, we're here. And I can't thank you enough for basically pulling my head out of my ass and recognizing how YouTube live stream interacts with Hangouts. I just couldn't see it. And to Simon Broad, I apologize for not recognizing it earlier. So thank you, Dan. Let's see. We'll go back to this side-by-side shot here. Where are we at here? So I want to thank Dan.
I'd like to thank Dan for bringing back nice, happy John. So Dan, you're out there. I appreciate it. Not that John ever took his anger out on me, but I had to sit here and listen to angry John. And sometimes it's just like you just got to sit here and let it happen. Even though I'm like, I feel like there's something that I could say that would make it okay, but sometimes you just got to sit and be like, all right, let him be angry. But I appreciate it, Dan. I really do.
Well, Alex, and now I feel like a child. Okay, give me a second here. I thought there it is. I had this all figured out, Alex, and then we lost our perspective shot. This one, the one that I like, my favorite. So here's the one with me looking at you on the screen and you looking at me. And
got it.
And we're on that camera over there. And this is the one where you look blue in 80s.
Where I look blue.
Yeah. See, everybody, this is what happens when you got a window coming in and we go from this perspective as we get the blue over here. But yeah, thank you, Dan. Yes, I am a little less of an asshole right now. It's good. It's anybody coming through on Comment Tracker, Alex? Do we have any activity going on there? Okay.
No comments.
It wouldn't surprise me after the shows we've run in the last few weeks that nobody watches this show at this point other than Todd. And we thank Todd very much for that.
It's okay. We'll get them back.
Do you think? Really?
I think so. Maybe in different routes. Like once we do other shows, people will be like, oh, they do that show too. I should watch that too.
Maybe so. So, okay. So let's get back on track here. We started the shout outs. We talked about Dan McDermott and how awesome he was and helping us get this stuff worked out. And honestly, Alex Lindsay with Pixel Core, I'm so sorry. Like, way earlier in our conversation, you just had this one little question, is why not live stream? And I ignored it. I just, you can't use that. It's got to be Hangout on Air. Well, duh. Thank you, Alex. Duh. All right. What else we got in here? I apologize to those people. David Amerland and Alex, Glass in the Class is the next thing we are going to talk about here. And I have such awesome slides. Okay. The first thing you guys are looking at is something that Todd whipped up for us, what, yesterday, Alex?
Yeah, he is incredible.
Yeah, the biggest shout out we actually have is to Todd. Todd, we love you, and thank you for showing up in our lives. We have no idea how we were delivered an angel of tech, but you are a tech angel, and you have come to save our sanity and help us, and we will help Todd in any way. This is Todd Lebeauc. Do I have his picture? Please, God, tell me I have his picture in here. I don't. All right, so have to thank him later in a bigger way. I thought I put together a nice little thank you, Todd. Here we go. Here's, I do have it, Alex. This is for the kindness quote, but everybody should read this. This is what Todd had to say to us the other day when we were saying, honestly, Todd is working in trade for equity. I mean, we don't have anything to help Todd with, and so Todd said, I get to go to bed at night knowing that I was able to help someone somewhere in a way that is meaningful to them as well as myself. That is a very good day to me. And that is what Todd had to say to us, and I can't thank him enough. He put together this slide that you're looking at right here that is Glass in the Class. The first episode is tomorrow at the ridiculously stupid hour of 6 a.m. Pacific. Okay.
Which is 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is a great time for us. I mean, everybody's up, but they're not really, awake. So maybe they want to watch a short session with David Amerland to kind of wake up their brains. I don't know what time it is for David Amerland.
Well, he's in Greece. I'm guessing it's not 6 a.m. I'm gonna guess
no,
that he's
I think it's like afternoon for them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Something like that. So yeah, I mean, right there with you. This is so. What is going on? Here, let's pick the next slide. Here, I had this all set up. Next slide. Boom. Okay. So, I should say shots. They're not slides. These are shots. Let's be professional here. So this is you, me, and that same pic, Alex.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So David Amerland. Those of you who do not know who David is, a prolific writer, speaker, brilliant guy. Google semantic search, wrote that book. But we're talking tomorrow about Glass in the Class. This is Alex's thing, her communication major. So I'm going to shut up long enough to let her tell you all about it. Go for it, Alex.
Okay. Well, as it approaches, I get more and more nervous and more excited. But basically, it is just a short 15 to 20 minute interview with David Amerland and one of my classes, my earliest class, unfortunately, for John. And it's a conversation about, this week in class, we're talking about perspective and communication. And what better person to talk about perspective and communication than David Amerland? I mean, it's what he talks about. He talks about authenticity online, how individuals are changing search, so it's perfect. So really what he's going to be talking about is perspective, communication, and the evolution of technology and how it has influenced his work, but also life in general. And it's really, I really just want my students to understand that what we're talking about in class is applicable. They can apply it to the real world and they can actually make a living on it. And I want them to see how it evolves, because though our book talks about these basic concepts, I want them to understand that while these basic concepts, these fundamentals are important, they need to think about how it's changing with technology. And I mean, what better person to do that than David? So I'm super excited about it. It should be really fun. I'm sure we're going to have hiccups, but that's life. But But yeah, it should be great. And of course, you'll have multiple perspectives. That's the whole point of Glass in the Class. We'll have one camera through glass, so you'll have that extra perspective rather than just the two different shots of David and my class. So
Right.
that'll be an added bonus.
And then and already, and I gotta say, this is pretty amazing. I don't know whether I think it all has to do with the fact that we've got this graphic. I mean, we've talked about Glass in the Class and we've put up other things about it, but now that we have something official looking and we have a graphic that is badass, I mean, it just lends legitimacy to it, right?
Yeah, it definitely does. And I mean, the fact that David Amerland was like, "All right, I'll be on it." I think that's everybody's like, "Oh, this is real." Okay.
Yeah, okay, so I agree with you there because I'm like, okay, we've got David Amerland who sits up here in this realm of academia and knowledge. How did these two jerk-offs get him on their show? That's, it's, I feel like the Mark and Brian show trying to bring real intellectuals on it. I don't know if you remember the Mark and Brian show, but...
No.
Okay. They were the longest running morning radio talk show in LA, and I grew up with them. Like, I raised my kids with Mark and Brian. So it was, they had transcended a point where it didn't really matter what they were talking about. Everybody knew they were just a couple comedians, but they could bring in higher level people because they were well known. You and I are totally not known, and we're just going to bring in people like David Amerland anyway,
Yeah.
And that's the beauty about that is that's why this platform is so powerful. That's what makes this so awesome, is that the ability to reach out to people like that it's there. I mean, we can, right? So the Glass in the Class for tomorrow is going to be an interesting experiment at just kind of doing the whole thing, setting up the different perspectives. I'm kind of looking forward to as long as there's a kid that's okay with it, put your glasses on their head, right? So
Yeah.
come up to the front. I'd love to get Google involved. Hey there, Google, and see if we can't get another pair that can go to the school, Kent University, so that there could be some other things going down there. Just going to toss that out. Or if you'd like to just get involved in general, we'd love to shove this around once we have it going and it's running on a regular basis. We want to talk to any educators anywhere. This is not limited to Alex's school. This is not limited to Alex being the Glass Explorer. It could be anybody in any classroom, honestly. What we're trying to do is bridge the gap. A lot like what Annabelle Howard does with Big Fun Education, which is why we work with her. Finding ways to bring education out of the classroom and into the real world, and finding a way to bring the business world, the functional world into the classroom so that it's a feedback loop. It's a better system than what we currently have, which is kind of a closed system. I don't know what to call our current academia system, honestly, Alex. I don't.
Yeah, I think closed is a nice way to put it. We'll leave it at that.
Yeah. So, all right. So we just talked about that. This runs into the Huff Post, which... what were we talking about? This was the Huff Post with the Steve Grove, right? Because we're not to privacy yet. Here we go. I have my post mixed up. I have this great slide for this. Boom. Everybody, I know I'm running the show and I'm talking about my slides. The truth is that I've had a ball now that we've got the tech worked out, creating these new shots. Except I just pushed the wrong shot. Boom. There's the shot. So here's the. I'm supposed to be hosting the show. What?
Whoops. My bad.
This show is supposed to be a functional comedy that provides interesting information and useful information. So you're getting the comedy at least, right? Alex, this is the Huff Post's post.
Is this the stuff about how they're doing Hangouts?
Yes.
And that's why it runs into the whole idea of the feedback loop, right?
Yes. And it looks like I didn't bother to create a shot with this and us, so we're just going to talk side by side. What you're looking at, everybody, is a nice mashup of the Huff Post site. But let me give you the background on this. Alex, watch a time clock and shut me up after 2 minutes so that we can talk about this. Pretend if you don't have one. What you're looking at up in the upper left there, guys, is the post the hangout that was recorded at Social Media Week in New York City. This had Steve Grove. It had one of the guys from the HuffPost. Apologize for not knowing who you are, but there's a lot of people there. And what this was about was a discussion of the future of Hangouts and what's going on. But what I loved about this, we touched on it last Friday, I think, is that the HuffPost has a website designed, HuffPost Live, this page, is designed to let you audition yourself to be interviewed, to be a part of the show, whatever you're trying to do. And they list all of the shows and what's coming up and what they're going to talk about. It's so simple and so smart. It's an open door for anybody to come there and say, oh, look, you're talking about this. That's one of my favorite things. I have something I'd like to say about that. Yes, I would like to be on that show, and I could submit a little interview, a little film of myself saying I'm capable of being on the show. Right? It's completely busted the barrier. You know, it's like saying, I want to be on The Price is Right. You want to be on The Price is Right, you got to go stand in line and wait and do all these things and jump up and down and do circles. And it has nothing to do with your merit, whether you should be on that show at all. This, I can go here, fill out a thing, and prove that I should be on the show, right? I have something of value to add. You want me in your audience, right? Or I have an opinion on that, and I'm capable of voicing my opinion in a clear and calm and intelligent way. And that's another reason you want me on your show, right? And obviously there are shows that can be, you know, more Jerry Springer-ish, and, you know, we're talking with the HuffPost, and what the HuffPost does is you know, they provide good quality content, and they're really getting down to earth. The reactions, the examples that they've shown. This is what blew me away. They've got a show where they've got just people in a regular hangout, and they bring John Legend into the hangout. He just shows up, right? The reactions, the response of those people that are just hanging out together, and all of a sudden there's John Legend, big, huge, super music superstar, and he's just casual hanging out. It's not John Legend with his entourage and 5 billion cameras. It's John Legend at his webcam saying, hey. This kind of breaking down of the barriers in communication. Am I going in the right place, Alex?
Yeah, we're at almost 2 minutes.
This is good. Well, this leads to the open communication that we're talking about. The open communication that is the big paradigm shift in everything. And I believe, and I think Alex is coming along with me on this, but she has more of that knowledge in the communications world. She's Uhura over here. Well, I believe that openness, that transparency, that authenticity is what's creating a kinder world. Or maybe the kindness came first and we got more open. But either way, I love all of it. Alex, take it away.
Well, we're going into the people night, like we're going into people being nice, right?
Well, yeah, we're moving from the HuffPost, talking about the HuffPost, into the skinny dipping, but I haven't put the slide up yet. I want you to finish off on the HuffPost, and then I will welcome the skinny dipping segment.
Okay. Well, from a communication standpoint, and I'll go more into this when I get into the communication connection, but this open feedback loop, and you know, David Amerland has talked about this a lot, the open feedback, the open system versus a closed system. An open system is going to, it's going to thrive, it's going to last longer, it's going to continue because it has the opportunity to grow. If you stay in that closed system, that closed feedback loop, eventually you hit a wall, and eventually it's your growth is going to stop. So this idea of an open feedback loop that, of course, of all people, the HuffPost is the one to jump on it. Surprise. I don't mean that to be sarcastic. I love you, HuffPost. I would love on any show of yours. But this open feedback loop is just, it gives them an opportunity to grow. It gives individuals the opportunity to grow. And we're going to go into what this has to do with privacy eventually, but we're going to hold off on the privacy for now because it does actually kind of tie into what we are seeing with Google Plus, and actually in reality, as far as we're seeing a lot of really nice gestures, and it's kind of weird. I mean, Because I think it's because, we've gotten so used to, I've heard so many people say they don't watch the news because it's so depressing. We've gotten so used to it constantly being about these horrific stories of like burglars and someone gets shot 8 times because they were on meth. And it's like, we're so used to all of these negative stories. And this last week, I feel like I've been inundated with kindness.
Yes.
And it's this, I mean, is it sad that it's shocking? I don't know, but it's shocking.
So a couple things, Alex. Inundated is a great way to say it. I love that word because you and I have experienced it all over the place. Todd, Lee, the Tonight Show, things I'm seeing on the Olympics. I don't know. I would say it's me getting old, but you're seeing it too. So it's not just me getting old, right? And I missed I created all these slides and I got mixed up in the slides. So we are in the skinny dipping phase and we're going to run through the Tonight Show. We're going to run through the graphic I created for privacy discussion that we haven't used either. So we got to talk about those things, all right?
That's right.
So first thing I'm throwing up here is, where'd it go? The graphic I made for, no, that's communication connection. You don't want to look at that yet. Let's do this one. This graphic is you, me, and Tyrion. Okay, something for the audience. I have to say this. I got to tell them this, Alex. When I create these slides, these shots, they're not slides. When I create these shots in Wirecast, I have to give them names so I can remember what the hell they are. There's single shot, full view mode. There's side by side. And then you're looking at what I call a three-way. So this is a three-way with me, Alex, and Tyrion Lannister. And I just love being able to say that. All right, I'm done. This is the quote. Everybody can read this. I love this. I love the fact that we're using Tyrion Lannister as an example. I love these memes. Tyrion Lannister is an example of the change. The fact that that guy, Peter Dinklage, is a main character on a main HBO show on television, and he is a sex symbol, he is an acting symbol, he is a symbol for all sorts of things. That is a huge change from the industry that we knew 30 years ago, 20 years ago. All right, wouldn't have happened. He would have been relegated to Oompa Loompas and other strange things in the acting world. Now he's a leading role. Okay, that's change. I know it's embarrassing to even say that in terms of change, but it's a change, and we have to admit that that's just happened kind of recently. Quotes like this, using Tyrion as an example of how to be strong, how we can stand up for ourselves no matter who we are, this is beautiful. This is social kindness, right? Never forget what you are. The rest of the world will not. Wear it like armor, and it can never be used to hurt you. I love that. If we all had the strength in ourselves to be like that, there wouldn't be a lot of violence and fighting. Because violence and fighting comes from people who don't have their basic needs met. So I won't go off on that, but Alex, if you want to take that any direction in terms of communication and stuff, we can. If not, I'll run into the Tonight Show. Up to you.
Well, I just want to say a couple of the kindnesses that we're talking about, because people might, I don't know, maybe we're in a bubble, but I'm loving my bubble right now because it's been amazing. It's been absolutely, I mean, it started for me with you saw stuff with the Olympics and I was like, that's cool. But for me, it really started with, we had this horrible snow day. And I needed to leave the next day. Luckily, I didn't need to leave till like 1 o'clock. I only have a shovel. So I go out to shovel my driveway. And I have a decent driveway. And it was like probably 3 or 4 inches over the night. And I was like, well, this is what I got to do. 2 of my neighbors come by with their snowblower. And they just start... God, I hate the word snowblower. It's terrible. But they just start cleaning up my driveway for me. And I didn't ask them to do it. He just motioned me to go to the side. And one of them had the snowblower, one of them had a shovel. And I asked the guy with the shovel, I was like, why? Are you guys just going around cleaning up the neighborhood? I needed a why. I needed a reason why. And You know, especially as a single woman in my house, I'm like, do you guys expect something? I'm kind of sketched out. And he was like, well, we have a snowblower. You don't. That's going to take you hours. So we're going to do it.
Right.
And that's it. That's all it was. And they cleaned up my driveway. They cleaned up my neighbor's driveway and they left.
Right.
And it was just such a moment of like, they did this because they could. And that was it. And then of course we have the kindness from Todd this week, which has been absolutely incredible. Absolutely. I mean, he's doing things with images that I could never do. He's asking me questions about images that I'm like, whoa, dude, you think I'm way smarter than I am. I don't know what you're talking about. Just go for it. I mean, he's been so amazing. And then you had this stuff with Dan McDermott.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
and then Lee Smallwood puts up this video of this kid. They did an experiment. This kid sitting at a bus stop with no jacket, and they documented all of these people coming by to like give him a coat, or I think someone even gave him some pants, like just doing what they like, literally taking the coat off their back to cover this kid who is sitting in the freezing cold at a bus stop. It's just so many moments of absolute kindness this week that it just really makes you think, is the internet helping us to see that kindness still exists in human beings? And just because the news wants their story, so they focus on the bad, there's actually a lot of good out there. And maybe it is my bubble, but like I said, I'm loving my bubble. So thank you all for creating my bubble of kindness. I appreciate it.
Well said. Well said. And I this brings back the purpose of the show, which is to produce content that is not spun for any particular reason. It's kindness, like we're talking about, and with Lee, I mean, it was a gift that he showed, right? And it was actually a film, and my guess is it was staged. Right? I didn't even read the whole thing. It certainly looked staged. No one would sit there and film a kid for a goddamn day while he freezes, right? So,
I hope not.
I hope not too. The point is that when humans recognize that a person is at that level, we shed all of the other bullshit, right? And I think that's what really, that's a raw point that really needs to be brought out here, is that we're talking about the difference between, you know, we can argue as human beings over what religion we think is right and what country we think is the best, and, you know, retarded details about the best way to treat this, that, or the other. Should we open doors for women? Should we let them be fully autonomous and equal? What is equality? We can go over all this crap all we want, and those are the finer points of living as civilized human beings. But basic things, when you just bring it down to the basics, we're all animals of the same level on this planet, humans. We all live together, and we all actually care about each other at the core. It's all the other bullshit that's been dumped onto us that we've been programmed into by governments, by religions, by sociological norms, by societal norms, sociology probably not even the right word, by I don't know, whatever other words you can come up with. The bottom line is that, to me, all of the unkindness that we have, all of the unkindness that we unfortunately share with people, that unkindness comes from, it's a learned behavior. All right? It was not programmed. Unfortunately, I disagree with the concept of original sin. I think that's bullshit. That was programmed. Okay? We are all good people. We choose to be assholes. So the kindness, I'm seeing it happen because of the communication we can have, because of the fact that we're exposed. Right? If we're transparent and exposed, and the world can point out when we're being assholes, then it makes it more difficult for us to be assholes. So in some sense, I say the openness and transparency that we have created, thanks to Google, thanks to authorship, thanks to the web in general, has forced us to be more accountable for our own actions. Alex, any place you want to take that off on a run?
Eventually, in the communication connection, I will definitely take that for a run. But let's move into the Tonight Show first.
Okay, but you know what? All of this stuff we're talking about was part of the skinny dipping revealed. And I worked hard on that shot. So I want to show everybody the skinny dipping reveal. Did you get a chance to see it?
I didn't.
Okay.
But I'll see it later when I'm going through and putting in time markers.
Okay, so everybody, this is skinny dipping, everything revealed. This is a segment. So, Mickey, if you're out there, we were talking earlier, this is what I'm talking about as one of the segments. The image, by the way, was grabbed through Google Safe Image Search. I just went to Advanced Settings and Image Search in Google, and I selected I want images that I can use for free and or commercial use. And this pulled up. This is some 1800s, early 1900s art student photo of a bunch of naked dudes jumping into a river. All right? Whatever. It just worked well with the image. But Google Safe Image Search. Nice way to go about it. Sorry, Getty, you don't get me this time. All right. And this whole time, Alex, I haven't used this perspective shot, the one with blue, that I wanted to use. So we're gonna show the Tonight Show thing here, and then we're gonna go into that.
All right.
Tonight Show. I just want to give the precursor on this. This is a shot from Jimmy Fallon and Will Smith. Now, everybody's talking about the Tonight Show because apparently it's doing really well, and I couldn't be happier for Jimmy Fallon because I was pretty blown away by what I saw for the opening night. I don't know how many listened to the interview with Will Smith, but he was just a giant ball of kindness. What he had to say was pretty straightforward. He said, I don't know if y'all realize this as actors, but it's what our job is, a gift. It's our job to give what we have, our talent, our beauty, our what we are, to the audience. That's what it's about. It's not about me being an actor. It's about my gift to the audience, to the people watching. It's just like, whoa. I mean, you've heard other actors talk about this before. I've never heard one that was just so point blank. It's like, listen, guy, I'm the luckiest person on planet Earth because I have a job where I get to give this back to people. It's not about me. It's about what I offer to others. That is the bottom line. That is exactly the point of what we're talking about in this place. What can I offer others? Because what I need will come back to me. Yeah, it sounds all karmic. It kind of is. Alex?
Well, I'm going to go off on Jimmy Fallon because he is killing it.
Yes.
He is just, his first week, he has been blowing up every social platform that I am on. And I told this to you when we were talking about this segment. I watched an interview with someone, I believe it was on CNN, and they said that they were bringing Jimmy Fallon in because they want to get my age group. They want my age group, and they want us to grow up with him. And this was right before the Tonight Show really, right, it was the day before the first showing. And he nailed it. The reason that all of my social platforms are blowing up is because he got the age group that he was expected to get. I've never watched The Tonight Show in my life. I did not give two shits. I was like, whatever. I'm busy at night. I've got other stuff to do. But I've watched so many clips of Jim. I'm not watching the actual show, but I've watched so many of his clips on YouTube. It's like I might as well watch the whole show. And it's because everyone else is talking about it. Everyone else is like, oh, did you see that? Oh, that was awesome. Oh my God, Jimmy Fallon. Yeah, I totally saw that. And it's everywhere around me that it's convincing me to watch it. And when I watch it, I'm like, yeah, that's hilarious. That's awesome. I'm watching all of the interviews because they're really interesting. And he's doing some really cool stuff with it. I don't know anything else about The Tonight Show except for Jimmy Fallon, and I think that's a serious win. But this made me wonder, like, why are we okay with a change in host? I mean, this last guy was the host for how long did you say? 20 years?
At least, yeah. At least
like,
20 years.
You know, and we're not only are we okay with the switch to Jimmy Fallon, but we're celebrating it. That is so hard to do. For some huge brand to be like, we're going to make this huge change, and then not only are people okay with it, but they're celebrating that change. And you
Well,
had a perspective on that I thought was really interesting.
actually, yeah, and that was a great lead-in. Nice job, Alex.
You're
That was
welcome.
great. First of all, you're right. What they did was go after your age group, but this is not the first time they've done that, right? They replaced Johnny Carson with Jay Leno because they were looking for the younger comic that could relate to the younger group, right? The Tonight Show brand, as long as its stewardship continues to be what it is very much like Saturday Night Live. You can bring in the new comedians, the new people, the new host, the new band, the new guests. It's the brand that stays, and they've those are two examples of brands, Tonight Show and Saturday Night Live, that have really been cared for, that have really been kept well. And when PR is bad, they do things to fix it, and that's what they are. They're living entities. I mean, when the brand transcends the host, then you've got something powerful as long as you can keep things running, right? I don't know, had you been aware of it, we talked about it before, but Jay was fired. They brought in Conan O'Brien. He did not work out. He was too soon. He had a different market, and that market didn't translate well into the existing Tonight Show market. And I remember when it happened, and Conan's humor is funny, but it's only funny to a particular segment, and the Tonight Show reached a much wider net, and so I think they were put off by Conan's humor.
Yeah, I don't find him funny at all. Sorry, guys. And it's not a Ginger thing, I swear to God. I just don't find him funny.
So that's interesting because I'm with me, he's hit and miss, right? With me, he's hit and miss. I think some of it's funny, Team Coco kind of funny stuff, but they did the right move going with Fallon. Fallon catches a wider net. He's not going to piss off the older folks that watch the show. He's going to hit and jive with the younger kids that watch the show. All those young generation kids getting that good show. I mean, I hate to sound that way, but that's really the truth. That's what we're talking about.
It is interesting. I mean, most of my age group, because of Family Guy and South Park, we tend to have a very crude sense of humor, and I love it.
It's funny
I
that
love
you.
I go back to Jimmy Fallon, and he's funny. He's hilarious, and he's not throwing out cuss words and poop jokes, and he's still funny. I'm sorry.
There's nothing wrong with cuss words and poop jokes. I don't know what your problem is there.
No, there isn't, but I think it appeals to a very certain audience, and Jimmy Fallon is able to transcend those kind of jokes and do other jokes that are, maybe not as vulgar to a certain crowd, but still funny.
Well, no, I absolutely agreed. I'm blown away. I mean, just by what I saw, the openness between him and the whoever's doing the announcing now, which I think is somebody new that he brought in. The Roots band, which has been there a while, but they're phenomenal. All right, I mean, those guys are awesome. Obviously, the first week of the show, they brought in a bunch of heavy hitters, but Bono, U2, even that. I mean, technology is so great. I don't know. I've been watching TV obviously a long time. Back in the day, all of those musicians, that was all canned. That was all bullshit. It was all lip sync, right? I mean, everything you saw in Rockefeller Center, that was live. That was piped in live. There was no lip syncing there. To me, that's awesome because the quality of the audio has improved so much. Our technology that I can hear Bono live, U2 live at the Rockefeller Center, and it's not some stupid lip sync track that they're just running for our entertainment, right?
Which again, you're going back to that openness and that authenticity that something in my age group we are starting to expect. I don't know if we necessarily expect it of each other or businesses, but we're expecting it from certain people and certain, significant individuals, which is very interesting to see.
I absolutely agree. And oh boy, that was good. That was good, Alex, because that's really what we're talking about here. We are expecting it. So we're going to expect it of our brands. We're going to expect it of everyone. Right?
Yeah, segues perfectly into my communication connection, really.
It does.
Are we ready for that?
Oh, yes. believe it or not, we are ready. So I'm going to switch over to the shot. Okay. Everybody, just so you can tell, this gives you an idea of the difference between the kind of graphics I can make and the kind of graphics Todd can make. Here, let's just go between. Here's Todd's graphics. Okay. Oh yeah, look at that, badass. Here's John's graphics. Looks like something mommy did using PowerPoint about 10 years ago. Okay. Again, we thank Todd. We love Todd. But now we're going to switch to the first slide I actually have for you in this, Alex, which is you with my PowerPoint mommy slide. The communication connection. So, lead us in. Take us home.
Okay, so we're talking about openness. We're talking about authenticity. A lot of this goes back to this idea of, and it's still there. It's still there. Don't get me wrong, of anonymity and privacy. We've always associated the anonymity of the internet with personal privacy. And the big question is, does decreased anonymity and privacy encourage self-reflection and personal growth? And John is saying, yes, it does, because as we, of course, he wants to play it right now, because as we reflect on everyone else seeing us, we're going to have that personal growth. Now, a book that I read recently, and I'm just going to keep referencing it until I read a new book, probably, by Sherry Turkle. It's called Life on a Screen. She wrote it in 1993, and she claimed that anonymity encouraged either personal growth or that you get stuck in this infinite loop. So that would be against your argument, John. She's saying that, you know, having that anonymity lets us play out these other parts of ourselves, and if we take the personal growth route, we eventually incorporate it into everyday life. That's not the norm in communication research. The norm in communication research says that anonymity means that basically we can be trolls and we can act out these hideous parts of ourselves, that it really doesn't take us anywhere. It just lets us be this anonymous being that acts out the demons in ourselves that we can't act out in reality. And then we have this whole other part of it of privacy, right? Everyone's concerned about privacy. They're saying, I thought of this, is our increased open communication encouraging a better society, or are we leaving the keys in our cars and politely asking, please don't steal it? You know, everyone is so scared, oh my God, they know my address. They're going to come and they're going to steal everything I have because they know that I live here alone.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe I'm not old enough to have those fears yet. Maybe when I'm a 70-year-old woman, I'm like, oh God, they're going to steal my stuff. But I think that we need to separate these. I think that authenticity can be separated from privacy. You can be an authentic human being online and still have a certain amount of privacy. I don't have to tell everyone where I live for them to say, you know what, Alex is being herself. That is who she really is. I think these are two different ideas, and we just tend to put them together. But I do think that when we go back to this idea of self-reflection, we need to be careful of something that is considered impression management. You can have that self-reflection, but do impression management, which is, I'm going to make everyone think that I'm a really nice person when I'm not. So we need to be careful of that. Are we managing our impressions in a way that makes us look better than we are? Or are we authentically being nice and actually having that self-reflection and having that personal growth? We have to be careful of that. I think we really do. But I think the openness eventually is going to lead to personal growth. But I think I'm an optimist. In communication, most of us are still stuck in, we're all doing impression management and we need privacy and anonymity is horrible. So hopefully we are actually moving in that direction. But that's the communication connection today. Think about privacy, anonymity, and authenticity. Privacy and authenticity, I think, are two separate things.
Wow. And
I know, a lot to think about today. I know. I'm sorry, guys. Heavy stuff.
No, I was just that was great, and I honestly I have a few things I could throw in there, but damn, that's why you're in college, girl. That's why you're teaching classes. Excellent.
We don't go into this.
We don't go there. All right, we don't go there.
This is grad school. This is
Okay. So here's my non-grad school comment on that. I would say you're absolutely right, and just to bring it down to a plainclothes level, I think anonymity is necessary for children. I think anonymity is necessary for us as we grow up, but as we become adults, we shouldn't need it, and if we do, we've got problems. And that's my personal opinion. Corporations that need anonymity, humans that need anonymity as adults, you got problems, right? Now, be they mental problems, emotional problems, or true problems like somebody trying to find you and kill you, which would be a reason to be anonymous, right? Either way, they're problems with us. They're problems with the way we're thinking. Right? I'm even going to go one step farther here and say something that a lot of people might consider way wackadoodle. Here, let's switch to another shot here. Let's go me close up with the title underneath. Boom, for impact. So, except that my head is now above the screen. There we go. For impact. How was that for professional looking? Probably not very well. Here's where we're going. Here's where I'm going with this. I personally think that what Christianity was trying to impart, what Jesus was trying to impart. Yeah, I'm going there. I'm going there because, in my opinion, it's religion that has done most of the damage in this regard because we kind of took it the wrong way. What I'm trying to say with communication was that people like Jesus and Gandhi and other, prophets or other people were trying to explain to all of us that if we take care of our inner needs and help others with theirs, we can be an open society and we no longer have to be private. We no longer have to be secretive. Those things, that need for secrecy, that need for privacy, stems from a need to do something that is deviating from good of society. Right? It means we're doing something we don't want others to know about. Bottom line. Okay? Well, there are certain things I'm not going to share with you just because you probably don't want to know what I do in the bathroom at 6 a.m. Right? But if you asked, I wouldn't have a problem telling you. All right? These are the differences. It's about self-aware human beings. It's about recognizing that when we're exposed, but we're all exposed, we all share the risk and we all share the gain. So Alex, just take that and argue with me for 5 minutes.
I can. I mean, you brought up something really early that we're gonna have to talk about at another time because it's such a big topic.
All right.
The authenticity of the individual and the openness of the individual versus the authenticity and openness of an organization.
Yeah.
They are two very different things, and I think that one is more important than the other. And I'm going to say I think it's more important for organizations to be authentic before we look at the individual. Because I think that I know you're going to argue with me. I know you're going to say people before organizations. But I think that we are so connected to our organizational identity that if the organization takes the leap and into authenticity, I think the human being will easily follow. I think doing it the other way is, I think that it might be, I think that it's asking, this is the negative side of me again. I think it's asking too much of people.
I don't disagree with you, but I have a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
The organization is made up of people.
I know.
How do you get an organization full of people who are not authentic and not interested in being that to be authentic? It can't be. You can't. It's like the chicken and the egg. You can't have a chicken without an egg.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point. It is like the chicken and the egg. But I feel like our organizational, I hate to say capitalist society, but I feel I hate to like point work capitalism and it's bad.
Agreed.
I feel like it has created this idea that it's negative to be authentic because it means relinquishing privacy.
Right.
I think we really, really have to separate the two. And I think if organizations put it into their system, and I don't do organizational comm. I very briefly looked over organizational communication. It's somewhere in there about organizational identity. It's not my field. I'm media. But it has something that organizational identity gets so ingrained in us that we identify with it so much that it becomes a very important component. And in a capitalist society, it's become the component. I mean, you look at us versus a lot of Europeans and they're like, well, I just go to work and then I go home and that's who I am. When I'm at home, that's who I am. And you look at a lot of Americans and they're like, the first thing you ask, well, what do you do for a living?
So I agree with what you just said defines corporate structure and defines American life starting 1950 and on, right?
Yeah. Anybody watching, read Something Happened by Joseph Heller, I think it is. He also wrote Catch-22.
Huh, yeah.
It's a little bit disturbing, not gonna lie, but it is probably my favorite book of all time, and it talks exactly about this. It really does.
Interesting.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, this will be a different topic. Maybe we'll discuss this on Friday since we don't have any idea what we're doing for Friday yet.
Which is not what we should tell people 2 days. We know exactly what we're doing on Friday.
No. Open transparency.
An intriguing conversation is what's happening Friday.
Yes, it will be. And it's probably going to be around this because you've really sparked something because that everything you just described, that belief in privacy, that need for privacy, the idea that privacy is protection, that privacy is important, right? The concept of the corporation needing to be private, that's all old school thought. That's exactly what we're fighting here with Google+. That is exactly the bullshit that we were programmed into from the early days of corporate entities. And the consumer is changing that. The consumer is saying, no longer. You don't get to be private and secretive. If you want me to do business with you, Mr. Corporation, I want to do business with your people. So I love this, Alex. The idiots in our government turned corporations into people, giving them the right to be there with the Citizens United BS. Okay? All right, well, who are those people? Let's get to know them. Right? Turns out most corporations are assholes. Okay? If they were going to embody a human being, they embody a collective asshole. Okay? So we on the web are saying, as consumers, we have the choice to choose who we do business with, and we're going to do business and engage with the corporations that represent themselves as the humans that function in that corporation, not a collective asshole or a collective other body part. Why don't you give me a collection of humans that are proud to represent your company? Because I'll talk to those humans. And if those humans talk to me, you've got brand loyalty. Because brand loyalty is going to start with a human connection. I'm not going to be loyal to Toyota just because they happen to be Toyota. But I'm loyal to Toyota because somebody I know bought one day and told me it's 120,000 miles and still going, and I love my Toyota. Okay?
Two-step flow of communication, my friend. Two-step flow.
I like it. So is that something we can bring up on Friday as well?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's where communication, it's how we think in the communication department. It's a two-step flow of communication. It's strong versus weak effects of the media. So, I could talk about that for days.
Sweet. All right, check this out. We got 2 minutes left. We're going to run through the teaser for Friday and tomorrow. And we're going to wrap up this show on time.
Oh, my God.
Elizabeth! Those of you who have ever watched the Sanford and Son show, you know Red Fox, brilliant comedian. If you, Alex, even know what that show is, I would be wholly surprised.
Negative.
Quincy Jones did the music. Red Fox, comedian, awesome stuff. You tell me you don't know who Quincy Jones is, and we're taking you right to school. That's all I'm going to say. Don't tell me publicly. All right, everybody, we're wrapping up this show because I think it went well until I go listen to the live feed and find out it had no audio or something. So hopefully everything was fine. Audio looks like it's been streaming fine. We've been processing in 1080p. Damn it, this was the first Office Hours Wednesday that seemed to go off on time. I've got 1 minute left. Here's the tease for tomorrow. Glass in the Class at the ridiculous hour of 6 a.m. Pacific, 9 a.m. Eastern. John, Alex, and David Amerland will be in Alex's class virtually and physically. And we will be talking about what, Alex?
We'll be talking about perception, communication, and technology.
Woo! And Friday, which I don't even have a picture for that. I'm just going to put up you and me. Friday, we will be talking about this.
We'll be talking about authenticity, businesses versus people, and then we'll move into the two-step flow of communication, how it involves media and thought leaders. Thought leaders is an important word there, and we generally call them the gurus of Google+, I think would be an equivalent to that. And I'm not sure if we'll have an interview segment for it. Stay tuned to see if we get someone to actually come on our show.
Hey,
it'll happen.
We'll find somebody, which means if you're somebody interested in talking about that and like to be interviewed on the Office Hours Friday, shoot Alex or I a message in Google Plus and let's set it up. If you're interested in supporting the show, get in touch with us. We could use some help. If you're interested in being on the show in any later versions, get in touch with us. Join the SEOWiSE community. We're there. We're on the web. Let's talk. Let's do TV together. Stop calling it TV. Let's do some more office hours. For SEOWiSE, this is John.
And Alex.
Yay. And we will talk to you guys in a couple days. Thanks, everybody.